The family reported hearing deep groans like a person in pain, loud knocking on walls and ceilings, heavy footsteps on the stairs, and children's beds shaking at night. These disturbances lasted for about 2 months. Family members, including Susanna Wesley, wrote detailed letters describing what they experienced. They eventually gave the unseen presence the name Old Jeffrey. This is what we know from the surviving accounts. In December 1716, in the village of Epworth, Lincolnshire, strange noises began inside the rectory, the home of Reverend Samuel Wesley, his wife Susanna, and their children. They experienced a series of unusual disturbances that the family documented in letters over the following weeks and months. The events are said to have begun around the 1st or 2nd of December 1716. A servant first reported hearing deep, dismal groans coming from an empty room, sounds that were described as resembling a person dying in great pain. The family initially looked for ordinary explanations. Soon the groans were accompanied by loud knocking sounds. These knocks were heard on the walls, floors, ceilings, and particularly on the staircase. Several family members reported that it sounded as if an invisible person was walking heavily up and down the stairs late at night. The children said their beds would suddenly shake and move while they were lying in them. Susanna wrote in her letters that doors would open and slam shut by themselves with considerable force. There were also loud crashing noises, as if bottles or household items were being smashed. But when the family went to check, nothing was found broken. The activity continued and became more noticeable to the whole household. On Christmas night 1716, the noises were particularly strong. The family gathered, holding candles, while they heard what sounded like several people walking and running in the room above them. It was around this time that some of the children began referring to the source of the disturbances as Old Jeffrey. According to the letters, when family members called out the name Jeffrey, they sometimes received a response of exactly 9 knocks. The disturbances were reported to become stronger when Reverend Samuel Wesley prayed aloud or tried to confront the presence. Susanna noted that the entity seemed to particularly target or react to her husband. Different members of the family experienced the events in their own way. The daughters, including Hetty and Amelia, described the sounds following them and an oppressive feeling in the house. Servants also reported hearing unusual noises. One account mentions sounds similar to coins being poured out or bottles smashing under the stairs. The family tried various ways to understand or stop the phenomena. They searched the house thoroughly multiple times. They prayed together. Samuel Wesley is said to have challenged the presence directly on several occasions. John Wesley, one of the sons who later founded the Methodist movement, was away at school during the main period of the disturbances. He learned about the events through detailed letters from his mother Susanna and other siblings. Years later, he collected and reflected on these accounts. His brother Samuel Jr. also gathered information and wrote letters asking questions about the events. The disturbances are generally said to have lasted from early December 1716 until late January 1717. By the end of January, the noises gradually decreased and eventually stopped. The main historical value of this case comes from the surviving letters written by Susanna Wesley and other family members at the time. These letters were later collected and studied. Because multiple educated witnesses in the same household wrote about their experiences. The Epworth case has been discussed by historians and researchers interested in reports of unexplained phenomena from the early 18th century. The story of old Geoffrey at Epworth Rectory is one of the better documented reports of its kind from that period. It provides a window into how a religious household in early 18th century responded to unexplained sounds and disturbances in their home.